I don't even know what to do with my hands, my heart, my soul, but I do know the Florida Gators are headed to the Final Four.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another celebratory episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, never in doubt. That game was never in doubt. The Florida Gators beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders 84-79, and son of a bitch, that took years off my life. My goodness, that destroyed my heart. That game was just incredible. Holy my God. And the chat, I see you already popping off. I love you. Double Gator, you said talk about the problems on Monday, Brandon. Keep it positive. Here's the thing. For the most part, that was a pretty good game. I'm not going to lie. If you're part of the Insider program, if you're not, the link's in the description below. If you're part of the Insider program, then you will note that there were many messages of mine that were basically me saying, hey, overall, Florida's playing pretty well. Honestly, I wasn't stressing about most of it until there was that little rough stretch where Texas Tech just started hammering the paint and Florida couldn't do anything offensively. But up until that moment, it was very even keel, I think I'll say about that. That was just holy. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't even know how to really talk about this one because, oh my God. Pledger Palace said, how much did you win betting on the Final Four? Let me pull it up for you. I'll get the exact numbers for you. Because I was like, oh, I'll put $15 on it. And then I was like, you know what? I've got some like spare change in there, so I'll throw that in there. But I bet for Florida to make the Final Four, basically $17 to win $271. $271 on it. So there's that. I got plus 1,500 odds, and son of a that game is nuts. I'm juiced. I don't know what but oh my. Jadarius, you said Thomas Houck, and I'm going to give credit to our Locked On Mizzou host, John Miller, because he wanted to throw out the Houck Tour, the Final Four, baby. That's what the Florida Gators are doing. They're Houck Tour, the Final Four, with an incredible win. Thomas Houck, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 6 of 11 shooting. Walter Clayton Jr., 30 points. Oh my goodness, the Florida Gators are going to the Final Four for the first time since 2014. And my God, it feels good to be back. It feels good to be back. We don't know who they're playing yet, but here's the thing. The Florida Gators are the elite of the elite. And we know that because they got through the Elite Eight to the Final Four. They're here. They're going. A 16-2 run late in the game for the Florida Gators to take the lead, win the game by 5. My God, what a game. My God, what a game that was. The Florida Gators are back, baby. And also, this is the thing that I wanted to talk about, or this is the thing that I will talk about. We have often talked about how the Florida Gators are a team that you can never count out, right? We have often talked about how this is a team that will frustrate the absolute living you-know-what out of you. But oh my God, this was a team that made adjustments. They adapted. They got better. And here's the thing as well. Walter Clayton Jr., I give you your props. Everybody, I don't care if you want to throw an emoji in the chat. I don't care if you want to just give him props, but I want everybody here to give Walter Clayton Jr. his props and Thomas Houck his props. Okay? And Walter Clayton Jr. finished with 30 points after a relatively quiet first half, right? Relatively quiet first half offensively. But Walter Clayton Jr. played what was the best defensive game he's ever played at the University of Florida. And I've been very critical of Phoenix. I can't let the expletives fly, but my God, I want to. We let out a B word. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that, but we did it anyway. But Walter Clayton Jr. played the best defensive game he's played at the University of Florida. I'm not going to talk about Iona. But I've been very critical of Walt for his defense and his turnovers. Okay? In the biggest game of the year, the biggest game of Walter Clayton Jr.'s career, he had one turnover, shot 50% from the field, shot 13 for 14 from the free throw line, played the best defense of his life, and helped lead this team to a 5-point win to go to the Final Four. Walter Clayton Jr., you are a legend. I love you. I die for you. And like I've been saying, that video or the TikTok, whatever it is, of Ashton Hall dunking his face in the ice water, that is not ice water. That is Walter Clayton Jr.'s blood, because my God, he's got ice in the veins. Thomas Houck, incredible performance. 4 for 6 from 3. Can we talk about that for just a second? That Thomas Houck, in the biggest game of his life, shot 4 for 6 from 3. Okay? 4 for 6 from 3. He had never, ever made 4 threes in a game. He is arguably the worst three-point shooter of the non-Ruben Chinyelu, Micah Handlogtons. Shoots 33%. And he shot 4 for 6 from 3, including clutch threes to help close this one and close the gap and win the game. The Florida Gators are Final Four bound for one reason and one reason only, because they are the best damn team in the country. That's why. That's what it is. Should we do it again? Should we do it again? Okay, we'll do it again. The Florida Gators, led by the coldest mother trucker on the planet, Walter Clayton Jr. The Florida Gators, led by a guy that's been very frustrating recently in Alex Condon. The Florida Gators, led by the most brolic transfer portal player in the country, Ruben Chinyelu. The Florida Gators, led by the best 3-and-D wing in the country. I don't care if it's true, I'm saying it. The Florida Gators, led by the best football player to ever pick up a basketball in Elijah Martin. The Florida Gators, led by the comeback story of the year in Micah Handlogton. The Florida Gators, by the best bench guard on the planet in Denzel Aberdeen. The Florida Gators, led by America's sixth man, Thomas Houck. The Florida Gators, led by the best analytically driven coach. The Florida Gators, led by the best SEC coach in the country, Todd Golden, are headed to the Final Four. And my God, does it feel good. Does it feel good to be back in the Final Four for the Florida Gators for the first time in over a decade? They're back. They are. They're back. 5-point lead over Texas Tech. The Florida Gators are going to the Final Four. Knock, knock. Who's there? It's the Florida Gators, ready to put belt to ass in the Final Four. It doesn't matter who they run up against. I'm taking these Gators. All right? I'm slamming the crap out of this book on my desk because we're excited. They're here. They're back. The Florida Gators headed to the Final Four. And guess what? We got the Johnny Walker Black. I just spilled a little bit of it, but it doesn't matter because we're celebrating a big W. The Florida Gators are moving on, and we're going to celebrate that. Oh, I almost said a word that would probably get me fired. Luckily, I didn't. But we're going to talk about this tremendous comeback, this incredible victory, this monumental moment where the Florida Gators came back from a game in which there was what? Let me just double check the numbers because I want ESPN to know how damn wrong they were about this one. I want them to know that late in the game, there was one point with where is it? Let me get the percentage up here. Oh man, I love it. There was one point in the game late in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left. Fourth quarter, second half, with 3 minutes left. Texas Tech, according to ESPN, had a 94.4% chance of winning. A 94.4% chance of winning. And guess what? Which, by the way, for those that are doing quick math, that means the Florida Gators had a 5.6% chance of winning. And you know what happened? Oop, I almost busted my ass. You know what happened? The Florida Gators stayed hot and came back to win this game. Florida Gators headed to the Final Four. We'll talk about it when we get back with this episode of Locked On Gators. Life moves fast, especially when you give Texas Tech a 94.4% chance of winning the game. And especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. Maybe they're off to the Final Four supporting the Florida Gators. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You can be covered in under 10 minutes. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company. Not available in certain states. Price is subject to underwriting and health questions. And baseball season's back, baby. It's in full swing. Get it? And there's no better way to get in on the action than Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. If you had Aaron Judge hitting more than one home run or Austin Wells hitting more than 0 home runs, congratulations. You'd have made money. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. And if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. So if you had Walter Clayton more than, we'll say 22.5 is probably the line, then congratulations, that cash. Download the app today. Use code Locked On College to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Locked On College for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And if you need 5-hour energy, if you don't have enough juice right now, go see a doctor because there's no way you're not pumped after that win. But if you need it, 5-hour energy has your back, just like the Florida Gators had their comeback. The extra sunshine means more time for fun. Sometimes you need a little boost to power through. I played basketball this morning. That's why my face is a little bit red and I'm super pumped. But drank 5-hour energy on the way home, so I'd be ready to go for this game. Turns out I didn't need it. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. If you need one now, grab a 5-hour energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store because they're everywhere. Just like Gator Nation. Stock up today and stay energized. Woo! Florida Gators are back in the Final Four. Jay said, go Gators. Appreciate you for the super chat, Jay. Put your 4s up for the Final Four because, my God, the Florida Gators are making it. Look, I forgot who it was. I'm sorry. Bro, really 363 us like that? I don't even know what the hell that means. I just saw it. But I will say this. He's a Tech fan. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. Yeah, that's Walter Clayton Jr., man. I don't know. A couple things we'll say. Thanos, death, Walter Clayton Jr., three things that are simply inevitable. The Florida Gators are headed on. Ed, I love you, Ed. Say hi to Ed in the chat. He's been a long-time listener, relatively new to being involved in this, but goddamn, Ed, we're happy. The Florida Gators are ready for the Final Four. We will talk about the negatives on Monday, right? We will. You know me. I'm going to talk about the negatives. But if you're new here, or if you've been here for a while, then you need to know something, right? It's that Saturdays are for feeling. And now at 8:55 p.m. on Saturday night, after the Florida Gators advance to the Final Four, I'm feeling pretty damn good. Brandon, where's that Locked On Big 12? I don't know. I could call him. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll call him after, or I'll text him right now. I'll let you know. Drake Toll. Let's say this. One of my listeners called you I'm not going to say the word, in the stream chat, just so you know. There we go. I told him. I texted him. I'm not going to show you our text conversations because, we're not going to do that. But yeah. Hey, man, again, I'm happy for you guys. Go win a big one because I like the Gators in a way, and two, because it'll make us good. Yeah, look, that's the thing, too. If you lose to the team that wins it all, like, you can't feel bad, right? It's like, oh, yeah, they were the best team in the country. I get it. Love you, Cobalt Counter. Man, Antonio Watkins, longtime listener. You have been a longtime listener. You've been here for a very long time. We will talk a little bit about the game. 8 a.m. Monday for the Locked On Improving the Best Team. Yes. We will say this. The Florida Gators are just an incredible team, right? They had their fair share of struggles in this game, but I wanted to note something about this, because this is a day where most of the team did not shoot well, right? Alex Condon went 1 for 2 from 3, and his first make, if I'm not mistaken, was the first shot of the game. I'm pretty sure his one made 3 was his first shot of the game. Right? Yep, 26'3" for the first 3 points of the game for Florida. And that was Alex Condon's only made 3. He missed 1 after that. Will Richard, usually pretty consistent, shot 0 for 2. So there's that. He shot 0 for 2 from 3. Walter Clayton Jr. shot 3 for 8 from 3. Elijah Martin shot 0 for 4 from 3. Denzel Aberdeen 1 for 2. Which, by the way, the Florida Gators, according to Florida Basketball Hour podcast, are now 24-0 when Denzel Aberdeen makes a 3. And then Thomas Hawk shot 4 for 6. This is a game where the Florida Gators were not shooting well from 3 at all. They just weren't, right? They weren't shooting well from 3 at all. And they still got it done. They hammered the paint. They got to the line. They made their free throws. They shot fantastic from the line. They shot 25 for 27. And that's, to me, that is you-know-what crazy, because Florida, one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. I'll tell you what, we got someone, who is it? Louis Tart. I don't know if it's Louis or Lewis, but I see you saying that we need something. And so I'll tell you what. We'll ice out a little bit, right? We'll get iced up a little bit. That's what we'll do. Florida Gators, great game. So we'll get iced up. We got the, if you can't see, it's a probably, I know it's a big diamond encrusted Gengar chain. You know why it's a Gengar chain? You know why I'm wearing a Gengar chain right now? Because things are getting spooky in Gainesville. The Florida Gators are headed to the Final Four. This is a team that can do it in every single way because guess what? They are like that. There's no other way to describe it. The Florida Gators are that. Okay? Look, JT Toppin had a fantastic performance. The chain keeps falling down. JT Toppin had a fantastic game. I'm not going to take a damn thing from him. Darian Williams, a fantastic game. I'm not going to take a damn thing from him. Outside of shooting free throws, was yikes. They were yikes. Outside of that, Texas Tech played fantastic. That's what. I can't say that. I hate that the chain keeps falling on. I need to get it adjusted. I guess it's a little bit long, but we got the Gengar chains. Things are getting spooky in Gainesville. All right, that's what we do. Things are getting spooky, so we got a Gengar chain on. And if you got a problem with that, Steph, you know what, buddy? Florida Gators headed to the Final Four. We ain't going anywhere. We ain't going anywhere except the Final Four because they're like that. Don't forget that. Florida Gators, of course, like again, on Monday, we'll talk about the negatives. Here, we're just celebrating. We're just celebrating that the Florida Gators were given a 5.6% chance of winning this game with 3 minutes left. And they said, you know what? I'll take those odds. And they did it. They did it. The Florida Gators were, by the way, they outscored Texas Tech by 2 in the second half, which is on par with both of those teams' second half margins. Because Florida, on average, or not even outperform, but Florida on average has 8 points in the second half, or 8-point margin in the second half. Texas Tech on average 6-point margin in the second half. So that little gap between them two ended up being what it was. I'll tell you what. I'll be honest. I didn't actually. You know what? I won't be honest. We're gonna be lying by omission here because I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say because I might do it. If they win the Final Four or the championship. But yeah, that was just nuts. Florida Gators. Moving on with freaking incredible performance. Like Gengar is hard. He's actually not a physical object that you can touch. Just like the Florida Gators. You can't touch him. You can't beat him. That game is never in doubt, right? That game is never in doubt. I'm sorry, Mudkip. We're repping a different Pokemon today. Mudkip's still one of my favorite, but we're repping a different Pokemon today in Gengar. Again, because things are getting really freaking spooky in Gainesville. Florida Gators with an incredible game. And again, I think, and a lot of you in here, I see names that we've had some disagreements. A lot of you in here have disagreed with how critical I've been of this team. A lot of you in here, know how critical I've been about this team. I don't think that this was as horrible a game as I see some people on the timeline and even in the chat say, right? I really don't think it was as horrible as people think because I thought Texas Tech was a really good team. Like, that's why I thought Texas Tech was an amazing team going into this. I've been saying that. I've been saying, hey, I wanted Arkansas because Texas Tech is a really good team. So I want you to know that I've been critical. I've been saying all this. I really don't think that in the grand scheme of things, this was that bad a game at all, or that they played a bad. Sorry, not even that bad a game. I don't think they played an overall bad game. Also, a very important note: Florida played 8 players today. Urban Klobjar did not touch the court. He's out. And he should be out. This is just incredible. I cannot believe that one of the reasons the Florida Gators won this game is because they shot 93% from the free throw line and the other team shot 54%. That's crazy. And look, there were things that were frustrating, right? Points in the paint, frustrating. Points off turnovers. Texas Tech had 22 points off turnovers. Florida had 5. That's a big gap, right? second chance points. I don't even know what the numbers were on it, but God, did they beat the crap out of Florida there. Shooting from three. Percentage-wise, basically the same, but they shot more from three. This was just nothing short of a nuts game. Nothing short of a game that lets you know these Florida Gators are for real. Nothing short of a game that lets you know the Florida Gators are legit. Okay? Because look, you could talk about close games, not covering a spread, whatever it may be. All right? But one thing you absolutely, unequivocally cannot deny is that the Florida Gators have lost 2 games over the past 2 months. Is that the Florida Gators have one of the hottest winning streaks in the country right now. And before we wrap this up, I just want to remind everybody of one thing, right? We're going to get serious for a moment. I want to remind everybody of one thing. And that is that the Florida Gators are headed to the Final Four because they're that damn good, baby. Florida Gators headed to the Final Four. Us having a damn good time. Cobalt Connor said, Brandon, you're a national treasure. I'll be back to watch your channel more often. Y'all are cool. Have a good night. You all have a good night too. Yes, Mudkip, the Gators are inevitable Final Four, hopefully national championship run. But here's the thing. We're here for it every step of the way. We will be back on Monday at the absolute latest. Love you too, Duval. We'll be back Monday at the absolute latest. Love you all for tuning in. Thank you all so much for tuning in because holy crap, I cannot believe that I get paid to talk about the Florida Gators and we get to celebrate the Florida Gators and we get to have fun with the Florida Gators winning. Because that's what they do. We'll be back Monday at the absolute latest, unless there's news tomorrow. We'll be back Monday at the absolute latest to talk more about the Florida Gators headed to the Final Four. We'll know who they're playing by Monday. We'll talk about this game. Again, we'll acknowledge the negatives in this game, but we'll talk about the positives and the future of the Final Four because holy crap, the Florida Gators are moving on. It's incredible. We're going. Throw the fours up one last time, and let's go win a national championship.